Hello everyone, I'm Diona, and today I'll bring you on a tour through one of our exhibitions, Hope from Chaos Pandemic Reflections, which marks the second anniversary of the arrival of the COVID-19 virus into Singapore. In this exhibition, you'll discover the signs of infectious diseases and reflect on life during a pandemic. Let's go! Hope from Chaos Pandemic Reflections begins with an introductory display by the world-renowned Smithsonian Institution with their exhibition titled Outbreak, Epidemics in a Connected World. It highlights the concept of One Health and recognizes the connectedness of humans, animal, and environmental health. A majority of diseases that affect humans are zoonotic, meaning that they originate from animals. Pathogens can be transmitted from animals to humans through direct and/or indirect interactions. These include raising, trading, and hunting animals, as well as industrialized farming and cutting down of trees, which can all increase our contact with infected animals. Pathogens can also spread through the air, in water, and by human or animal bodily fluids. For example, insects such as mosquitoes can spread pathogens when they suck blood from an infected animal or person and then bite an uninfected one. Our world is connected more than ever before by global travel and trade, technology, and even by infectious diseases. The four main drivers in transmitting infectious diseases are animal trade, urbanization, global travel, and industrial food production. But issues such as poverty, conflict, and limited access to healthcare can also make people vulnerable to diseases. We can keep track of pathogens through active and passive surveillance. Active surveillance refers to identifying people or animals that show symptoms of infection, while passive surveillance means drawing information from reports of infection filed by public health personnel. Contact tracing is another important way to control the spread of diseases. In Singapore, digital tools such as Safe Entry and Trace Together have been introduced to supplement the contact tracing efforts by the Ministry of Health. When the ministry is notified that someone has an infection, it quickly alerts close contacts to take precaution and then isolating and treating those with symptoms. Here, we also highlight the individuals working to identify pathogens responsible for outbreaks. There are epidemiologists who investigate patterns and causes of illnesses, as well as veterinarians who diagnose, treat, and research medical conditions and diseases of domestic and wild animals to help identify pathogens associated with human cases. In remote areas where facilities are scarce, portable testing units and mobile labs are also essential, especially for health workers to identify and contain infectious disease outbreaks. We spoke a lot about pathogens, but have you ever wondered what pathogens look like? Here we have pathogen models of human immunodeficiency virus, or HIV, Ebola, influenza, and Zika virus on display. You may notice that most of these viruses have surface proteins attached to their cell surfaces. These surface proteins are designed to fit the receptors of the human cell like a key to a lock. Once the key enters the lock, the virus is then able to enter and infect the cell, thereby marking the beginning of an infection. One of the biggest pandemic threats that we face is the influenza. The virus spreads through the air and mutates rapidly. Hence, community immunity is important. When most members of a population are immune to a pathogen, there is little opportunity for transmission. It protects people who cannot be vaccinated, and is the best prevention against many diseases. Public health education is also important in reducing stigma and providing accurate information about how people can protect themselves and their communities. When pathogens are carried over to humans, it causes a spillover. When many people are infected, it can become an outbreak. If an outbreak is not stopped, it becomes an epidemic. An epidemic that spreads globally is called a pandemic. It is important to be aware of the ways that we can detect, treat, and contain diseases. As we have seen, reducing disease risk not only requires cooperation and coordination at the local and national level, but at a global level as well. The exhibition continues with a deeply evocative and meditative personal encounters with the stories and practices of artists who offer insights into their lives and work during the COVID-19 pandemic. In this second part of the exhibition, that is curated by Art Science Museum, we will learn more about the pathology of the virus and the rites and practices that have helped artists and society to understand one another amidst the chaos of this pandemic. This artwork is by artist Luke Jerem. It is a glass sculpture of the COVID-19 virus, which is 23 cm in diameter, 2 million times larger than the actual virus. The artist worked with virologists and scientific glassblowers to ensure that the sculpture would be an accurate representation of the virus and made from the same materials and techniques used in medical scientific glassware items. Did you know that viruses actually have no color? Although viruses appear to be colored graphically, they are smaller than the colored wavelengths of light, hence they are colorless. The next work on display are prototypes developed by the School of Material Science and Engineering at Nanyang Technological University, Singapore. It is a reusable nanotech mask which filters out 99.9% of bacteria, viruses, and particulate matter. There are two key components for this mask: the antimicrobial coating, made from copper nanoparticles developed and patented by Professor Lam Yang Ming, and the fabric mask with the unique dielectric property that attracts nanoparticles and germs, which was invented by Associate Professor Zheng Liu. The filtration efficiency of this mask surpasses the N95 mask and can be washed and reused over 10 times. Here, we are looking at Diary of 2020, an artwork by Yoon Vivian Lee, which reflects on the artist's response to the uncertainty and fear she began to feel during the pandemic. Using pigment paint made from seashells, she created a pattern of circles and discs on a 10-meter-long paper. The color palette used was determined by her mood on that day, and the repetitive process itself took on a meditative aspect for her. These are just some of my personal favorites in this part of the exhibition, but the artwork serves as a starting point for visitors to think about what it means to be living in current times through the stories and practices of local and international artists. Earlier, we saw from the Outbreak exhibition on how it provides people with the effective communication tools about infectious diseases and brings to light how human, animal, and environmental health are connected. At the end of the exhibition, it encourages us to be aware of our feelings and emotions and to reflect on life as we navigate the chaos of the pandemic. With that, we've come to the end of our virtual tour. Please come by to see the full exhibition in person if you can. Thank you for joining me today. Goodbye and see you soon at Art Science Museum.